Who are you?
I'm Francesco Veenstra, pronounced in Dutch. Francesco is the Italian name. I'm one of the partners of Mecanoo Architects. In total we have 6 partners at the moment, of which 5 are lead architects on several projects, I would say throughout the world. I'm 40 years old, working already for almost 19 years within the company, so I started my career within Mecanoo, and since 2007 I'm one of the partners, the owners of the company.
Francine Hubin has described Mecanoo's ethos as about composition, contrast and complexity. What does this mean in terms of your approach to design?
In general, the way we develop the design method within the office is something which we all do together, and which of course is a very strong basis in the year when it originally was founded in 1984. So next year the company exists 30 years, which we will celebrate, of course. And let's say our design approach, our design philosophy started with the idea of actually being able to also design something nice in a period where all cities, especially in Holland, were under development and being tortured by architects with very, let's say, low budget housing projects, which have started dominating all the inner cities of Holland. And in the early 80s, Mecanoo came up with the approach of not only, let's say, rebuilding the inner cities, but also to do it in a very nice way. Also in a very human way. So that's something which has evolved over the years. But I think it's very much about the fact that architecture is not only about creating something very theoretical or trying to design architectural purity. It's, in our opinion, very much about the use of a building, the use of space, and trying to be very contextual, trying to pick up all the essential elements from an area, from the surroundings where a building finally will be built and it should become fruitful for its society.
How contextual are Mecanoo's buildings?
Well, to our own opinion, they are very contextual. Not only in shape, or not always in shape, but always in the way buildings will be used by users, by visitors, by owners. So we have a very strong focus on designing for people.
The practice has a history of large public buildings like Home in Manchester and Birmingham Public Library. Is this a difficult typology to design for?
I would say it's not, and especially because of the fact that you always deal with the end users in these kind of projects, and that also makes it very interesting and very energetic, I would say, to work on these kind of projects. For instance, the Library of Birmingham, we work together with tens of people from the client side to make the building in such a way that it also will satisfy the needs of the citizens of the city of Birmingham. So we got a lot of influence, a lot of inside information from the client in order to then being able to design a building for the city.
The practice is very international. Is there a difference, would you say, in designing a public building in the UK as there is to designing in Holland, for example?
I would say no. Again, just because of the fact that you always have to deal with the people using a building. Not only using a building, also using the public realm. And at the moment we are working on a project which is under construction in Taiwan. It's a huge cultural facility as well. It's about 20 times bigger than Home here in Manchester. And it still, again, facilitates the needs of the people over there. And it also responds, let's say, to the to the environmental conditions of the place. And that's something we always have a very strong focus on during the design process.
Something else which your practice states is part of their core ideals is the idea that sustainability is social responsibility. Sustainability is a very loaded word.
Yes.
What does it mean to you?
Already, I think for 10 or 15 years, sustainability is very much connected, of course, to the use of energy. And I think it still does. Many architects come up with a solution where they use actually architectural tools, architectural ingredients to make a design sustainable, and where also sustainability really becomes part of, let's say, the identity and the look and feel of a building. I would say that that's something we don't, that's like a methodology we don't follow. We really try to come up with a very integrated solution where architecture, comfort, mechanical and electrical installations inside a building are all brought together into one, let's say, very sustainable model, very sort of integrated design philosophy. I think that's one part. The other part is that we definitely believe in the fact that sustainability is also about embracing a project eventually by the people who will use it. So it does not only start with energy models or with the orientation a building has in terms of preventing daylight or too much daylight and energy coming in, but also trying to create buildings which finally people will love to go to, and which make the existence of it worth.
Where do you see architecture in 20 years' time?
I think that the construction process is slowly evolving, and so we don't deal with the fastness you, for instance, find in automotive industry or in the mobile industry. It takes a lot more time to develop the architectural product of the building itself into a direction where a lot of innovative elements will be included. So I think that architecture will not be so far away from where we are today. It still will be about designing for a very specific purpose. I think it will definitely move away, and it already did, from large developments by huge developers all around the world. Of course, there are still areas in the world where this is taking place at the moment. But I think people will start think about how to deal with those kind of developments, and which definitely relate also to the economic climates.
What advice would you give architecture students studying now?
I think that's a very good question. I think it's a question an architect should always ask himself, or actually a student should ask himself. I think an architect always has the ability, against all other, let's say, consultants, to think very broad. So we always sort of, as you could say, overarch the whole process of developing or designing a product, which could be a building, which could be interior design, which could be a landscape, or which could even be an organization, for instance. And I think that way of thinking, and also always trying to search for other solutions and trying to be creative, is something which makes us all different from all the others. Because everybody is different, and everybody has different skills. And the way we see it within our practice is that having in total over 120 people at the moment from more than 20 countries means that we have a lot of different cultures. And by bringing these cultures together and also trying to clash these cultures, it gives new energy for new projects and new development.
Thank you very much.